Good afternoon. For 4 News Now, I'm Rob King. Today on KXLY Plus, I'm going to sit down with 4 News Now evening anchor Aaron Luna about his upcoming special report airing tomorrow morning on Good Morning Northwest. So let's just jump right in, bring Aaron in. Aaron, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Rob?
Doing great. Why don't we just start with what is your special report? What's it about?
We're just kind of taking a look at car rentals. Everyone's planning their vacations, or they've already had them planned if they're really on top of their game. And you want to save as much money as you can, right? Maybe not everyone agrees on where you want to take a vacation. The kids might want to go somewhere else. You have something completely different in mind. But I think everyone can agree on a vacation is better when you get a good deal, right?
True.
It just feels you feel like you're maximizing your vacation when you get a good deal or you're saving some money. And so one of the ways you can do that is using, if you go somewhere and you need to rent a car, you have a family, you've got, 4 people in your group, Ubering everywhere or taking a Lyft everywhere, not always the most efficient. Plus, you got to wait for one. Having
Certainly.
a car is kind of a nice thing.
Yeah, if you're out late, sometimes you can't even find one unless you want to pay $70.
Yeah, and maybe you're going to a place where it's a little more, out of the way, and there's not something like that, and you can't find a taxi. So there's a couple of options. Obviously, you can rent a car, or a lot of people have been doing this recently is, doing a peer-to-peer sort of car rental platform. And so it's kind of like people describe it like an Airbnb for cars. You get on a platform like Turo, and you can kind of browse cars in the area where you want to go, and you'll see the specific car rented out by a specific person. And that way you can kind of customize exactly what you need for that vacation that you're going on. A recent article by NerdWallet has said that, they looked at some of the data, and globally the peer-to-peer car rental platforms is about a $2 billion industry. And it's expected to grow 20% every year until about 2027. So even though these kinds of like apps and platforms and rental programs have been around for a while, they're really starting to gain some traction. And what it really does is give people options. Let's say you have, I talked to a mom who had, was going on vacation with her 2 kids. So she needed something specific, and she decided, well, I really want, because her kids are younger, so she needs something that fits car seats and things like that. So she's like, okay, well, what's out there exactly for me? And she also wanted to go from one destination and drop the car off at another destination. Well, that's not going to work, because apps like Turo, you have to pick it up and drop it off basically in the same spot. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing this kind of stuff. But if you need something specific, like a bachelorette party where you have 7 girls going to a bachelor, you don't want to roll up in a minivan, right?
No.
So if you're going through your rental car companies and you're looking, well, here's what your options are for 7 women. Okay, well, it's a Suburban or something similar.
Sure.
You gotta show up with a little bit of style, right? So that's where apps like Turo come into play, where you can specifically look at the car you want. Maybe it's a little fancier. Maybe the owner has it tricked out a little bit, fits your style a little bit more.
Yeah. And we've all heard of rental car companies. You requested maybe something that's 6'6". They only have a car that seats 4. What are you supposed to do?
What are you supposed to do? So in that aspect, these peer-to-peer car rental platforms really kind of excel at giving you exactly the option you want.
Now, why did this kind of come about? Why did you decide that this was going to be what you're tackling?
I think just kind of it's relevant to people planning their vacations right now. It's the start of summer. People are, always looking to save money. Look at airline flights, right? Even though airline flights compared to last year are a little bit down or slightly down, if you compare them to 2 to 3 years ago during the pandemic, they're way up. So you're paying more for flights, right? Mm-hmm. You still want to get out of town. People still have the bug to go somewhere and kind of get out once, we're a couple of years past the major lockdown of the pandemic, and people are starting to realize, we need to get out and go somewhere and do something. So we're seeing a gradual rise in airline prices. Gas is not cheap these days. So you want to save money in any way you can. And this is just one of the options we're taking a look at is, does this actually save you money, and what can it do for you and your family when you're on vacation?
Got it. Now, how long have you been anchoring here at 4 News Now?
Geez. I've been at 4 News Now probably 10 years, off and on for 10 years, weekend anchor, and then for the last 4 years, one of the main evening anchors, and then kind of just a smattering here and there filling in for a couple of years.
So how was it to kind of get your reporter hat back on, get out in the field, find your sources and chat with them?
It's always fun to get out and talk to people and, just kind of put in the footwork, realize what reporters do every day, just get the refresher course.
Got it. Awesome. So how new are these kind of peer-to-peer apps? I mean, we know Airbnb's kind of now synonymous with that sort of thing, and Vrbo, obviously. But as far as for cars, for vehicles, it makes sense when you think of like the logical innovation steps that cars would be there. But how new is a sort of software like this for cars?
It's not extremely new. I can just anecdotally speak about, it was around 4 or 5 years ago and probably even longer than that. But like we talked about earlier, it's a platform, and it's a way to rent your car out that is growing, and more people are catching on because it gives you that option. It gives you the extra option. So when I was looking around at rental cars in Spokane, I looked at 2 major car rental companies and then the Turo app. And I was looking for a Friday through a Monday, May 5th through the 7th or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so I found Turo was not the cheapest option. But you're also in Spokane. If you look in other cities where you have a larger population, more people are doing the peer-to-peer car rental programs, you can find deals that are better than what you might find at a Budget or a Hertz or an Enterprise car rental. So it's not necessarily you're not going to go to it and expect you're going to get the best deal. What it gives you is another option to say, hey, okay, these are the things that are important to me. This is who's coming on vacation with me. This is what I'm looking for. Maybe the car rental company is not exactly fine-tuned to what you need for that specific trip. So then you go to Turo. Maybe Turo is your first option. You say, okay, well, I really want this specific car, and it's there, and I really want to drive that specific car. That gives you that.
And especially on vacation, where you may not want to spend top dollar on every aspect, on meals, on hotel, on recreation, on the car. So you kind of find those compromises where you can.
Yeah, exactly. And the people I talked to for this story, both of them use Turo pretty consistently, and they find that it is cheaper. In some aspects, that was, for one woman, it was $500 cheaper for the bachelorette party over the weekend. Another gentleman that I talked to said he saves about $15 a day specifically, and he likes it because a lot of the airports will have designated Turo parking spots. So you skip the rental counter. You don't have to go check in. You don't have to wait in line, and maybe they only have one person working and everyone's waiting for that car, right? So you can skip the checkout line, go straight to your car, and just get your vacation going. You don't have to wait for it. But like I said, it's not always guaranteed to be the best deal. Depending on what city you're going to, they might have more options. Or maybe you don't mind driving a little bit of an older car, and someone just saying, okay, well, I know my car's not top of the line. It's 4 or 5 years old. But if you just need something to get around, give me a few bucks and we'll make a deal.
Certainly. So who did you talk to in this special report? You mentioned someone who's used Turo. Did you talk to someone who rents their car out to people?
We didn't talk to someone in Spokane who does that, mostly because you can't really contact them directly. And so I didn't get around to actually talking to someone who rents out their car, but you can kind of see who that person is that rents their car. It's just like an Airbnb. You can see how many trips the car has gone on, what that person's rating is. When I was talking to the mom who was renting the vehicle, she actually said that the battery died on one of the cars she rented through Turo. No. And so just kind of things like that. But the response was really good from the Turo renter. They came out and fixed the issue and got her back on the road. So there's enough information if you're worried about it where you can kind of see other people's experience and go off there. But you have to keep in mind, you are renting from a specific person.
Sure.
People differ.
I personally take care of my car. It's immaculate inside.
I would imagine if, I did talk to a gentleman who just got into it, and he knows a few people that have been doing Turo for a while. And so one of his friends had 10 cars in his Turo fleet. So
Oh my
he's
gosh.
actually a little bit of a business off this, not just someone who has an extra car or rents
Right.
their car, not using it. So there's that aspect of it. Some people actually go in and have multiple cars that they rent. He just purchased 2 cars, and he was just 10 days on the app when I talked to him. And so he hadn't actually rented his cars out to anyone just quite yet. But it was interesting to talk to him, and that's kind of, it plays back to the aspect of this is kind of a growing in popularity globally, when people see it as not just a way to make a little extra money, but maybe a way to make an income.
It's pretty nice. One of the things that doing a special report for television, you have some time constraints. So was there anything that was cut for time that you found interesting and wish you could have included?
I don't know if it was cut for time, Rob. I will say there's always things you don't include in a story like this. I actually called a couple of travel agents in Spokane to ask them if they recommend their clients, if they're looking to save a little money, go through a peer-to-peer, consumer-based app like this. And one travel agent that I talked to was just shocked that I would even ask her that. It's like, first off, I've never even heard of that, but we would never recommend someone go consumer-based apps like this. We are a professional company. We would never do that.
Oh,
and
well, my apologies.
Then it was a very quick, you're wasting my time, Aaron. I have to go. So you probably mixed reactions, right?
Definitely. As is with most things, especially something that's, people are just starting to come around to. I mean, we did that with Uber and Lyft. Remember, you were saying, like, you're going to call a stranger from the internet to come pick you up at the middle of the night? Now, where would we be without it?
It has its pros and cons, too. You really have to figure out what you want out of your car rental and then go from there. You can save a lot of money. You can get the specific car you want. There are going to be fees, just like any other thing. Let's say you want to take your pet along, you're going to have a pet fee. If you leave the car just trashed, you're going to have to pay for that, obviously. If you're a young driver, under 25, you're going to pay an extra fee. So those things to keep in mind. And same on the car rental side as well.
Yeah.
A couple of things you have to keep in mind. If you're renting cars consistently, let's say you travel for business, and maybe Enterprise, you go with Enterprise Rent Car. I'm just picking one out of the blue. You're part of their rewards programs. You're going to get their perks, you're going to get their special discounts, things of that nature, which you might not see the same on a peer-to-peer car rental platform.
Sure. But that's interesting you mentioned an extra fee for those under 25, because you can't rent a car from a major retailer if you're under 25. So this is actually an option for people in that, 16 to 24 range.
And I didn't look at how old you have to be, probably because I'm way older than 25, so I didn't think about it.
Oh, you'd never tell.
The fee structure, a young driver fee, so I'm not sure exactly how far down you can go to rent a car. 16 might be a little too young. I don't want to throw that out there as hard facts, but something to definitely look into if you're looking to rent a car. But yeah, it brings up options for people who are, under 25, and they're just like, I need to get around.
Sure.
What can I do here?
Got it. Well, Aaron, is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. We talked to actual people who do this on vacation, rent these types of cars, and like I said, they give us their experience, and also they let us know that sometimes it's not always the best option for them. Especially if you're going from one city to another, you can't grab a Turo, drop it off somewhere else.
Sure.
You can't rent it in Spokane and drop it off in Liberty Lake. You got to bring it back to Spokane.
But if that works for your travel plans, then it could be a good option for you.
Yeah, so we'll just explore that a little bit more and talk to people who actually use the Turo app or the Turo platform, and we'll get their experience and kind of show you a few things to keep in mind if you want to save a little cash. Might not be a bad idea.
Awesome. Well, you can catch Aaron's special report airing tomorrow on Good Morning Northwest, and following its airing, it will be up on our website, kxly.com. Or if you popped into this interview late, you're also welcome to watch that on KXLY Plus as well on your connected TVs. Aaron, thank you for joining me.
Pleasure, Rob. Thank you.
All right, talk to you later. Thank you, Aaron. Like I said, his special report is airing tomorrow on Good Morning Northwest. Be sure to download KXLY Plus on your connected TVs. That's Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. You can also watch these on the 4 News Now mobile app on your phone. We are still doing a KXLY Plus Daily Rundown coming up probably around 1:30 today, where I'll give you an inside look as to what the 4 News Now team is working on today. And other than that, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in a little bit. For KXLY Plus, I'm live in the studio. Rob King.